Early this morning, I received a phone call that reminded me just how fragile life can be, especially once we reach our 70s and beyond. A dear friend's neighbor, a gentleman in his mid-70s, had suddenly collapsed in his kitchen. Thankfully, he survived, but the doctors pointed to a seemingly minor morning habit that spiraled into a serious health scare. It got me thinking about how, as we age, small daily choices can have dramatic consequences. Why do so many seniors end up facing unexpected challenges in the early hours of the day? How do these seemingly harmless morning routines build up over time and put our health at risk? Today, I want to talk about several common mistakes many folks over 70 make in their morning routine. Mistakes that often fly under the radar, yet can lead to dizziness, falls, circulatory problems, and even heart complications. Stick with me, because by identifying these pitfalls and understanding how to fix them, you can protect yourself or a loved one from the kind of scare my friend's neighbor just went through. I'll also share practical, easy-to-implement adjustments to ensure your mornings become safer and smoother. And keep an eye out for the final point, which almost no one talks about, but can be the hidden culprit behind so many morning mishaps. Let's begin by reflecting on your typical morning. The alarm goes off. Perhaps you don't even use an alarm anymore, and you open your eyes. Your back might feel a bit stiff. You rub your hands over your face, thinking about the plans for the day. Are you one of those people who immediately tries to stand up, determined not to lose any time? Or do you sometimes skip water and head straight to the coffee pot, eager for a caffeine jolt to jumpstart your day? These details matter more than you might think. Because once we pass 70, our bodies become more sensitive to abrupt changes. Our circulatory system isn't as quick to adapt to positional changes. Our digestion can become more finicky. Our balance may not be what it used to be. So even if you felt bulletproof in your 30s, 40s, or 50s, these little innocent habits can catch up to you in your 70s and beyond. Let's look at some of the most common offenders one by one. Mistake number one, springing out of bed too quickly. How you greet each morning can set the tone for the rest of your day and potentially save you from a dangerous fall. One of the biggest mistakes I see among older adults is jumping out of bed in one swift motion. You might have done this your entire life without a second thought, but now it could prove dangerous. Picture this. You've been lying down for 6, 7, maybe 8 hours. Your blood has settled in the lower parts of your body. Your blood pressure is at a resting level. The moment you stand up, gravity pulls that blood downward. In younger individuals, the circulatory system compensates fast enough to stabilize blood pressure. But as we age, our blood vessels may not constrict as quickly, and our heart rate might not ramp up instantly to maintain equilibrium. This is called orthostatic hypotension, when your blood pressure drops the second you stand, leading to dizzy spells or even blackouts. You might have already experienced that head rush feeling, a brief swirling in your vision, or a wave of dizziness that lasts a few seconds before settling. In your 20s or 30s, it's annoying but rarely a big deal. By 70, it can become downright dangerous. Falls are among the top reasons older people lose their independence. Hip fractures, head injuries, and extended hospital stays can all stem from a simple misstep. The best solution? Give yourself a gentle wake-up sequence. As soon as you open your eyes, take a moment. Wiggle your toes and fingers, slowly flex and point your feet. Roll your wrists and maybe bend your knees a bit. This pumps the blood through your muscles and signals to your nervous system that you're about to move. Then carefully turn onto your side, push yourself up into a seated position, and let your feet dangle off the bed. Wait there for a few deep breaths. Use this brief pause to ground yourself. Notice if you feel dizzy or lightheaded. If so, stay seated until it passes. Then when you feel stable, place your feet firmly on the floor and stand up slowly. A few extra seconds in bed could prevent a serious accident. Think about a gentleman named Harry, age 78. Harry used to leap out of bed, eager to check the morning newspaper. One day, that quick leap cost him his footing. He blacked out for a second and toppled sideways. Fortunately, he landed on a pile of clothes and avoided a broken bone, but he was shaken. From that day forward, Harry adopted a slower, deliberate approach. He hasn't had a single fainting spell since. Bottom line, taking your time when getting out of bed can dramatically reduce the likelihood of an early morning fall. It's a small shift in habit but offers a large payoff in safety and peace of mind. Mistake number two, neglecting your first drink of the day. Once on your feet, you might shuffle to the kitchen or the bathroom. Here's where the next pitfall usually happens. Ask yourself, what's the first thing you drink each morning? Is it a tall glass of water? Or do you jump straight to coffee, tea, or some other beverage? Many seniors don't hydrate properly in those first 10-15 minutes after waking up, and this oversight can negatively affect blood pressure, kidney function, and overall energy. While sleeping, your body continues to lose fluid through breathing and minor sweating. You might also lose moisture if your room air is dry. After 7 or 8 hours without a single sip of water, you can wake up mildly dehydrated. Mild dehydration may not cause alarm bells to ring, but it affects how efficiently your blood circulates, how your kidneys filter waste, and how alert you feel. Remember, thicker blood moves more slowly, which can further strain your heart. For older adults, hydration is crucial in stabilizing blood pressure and reducing the risk of cardiovascular issues. Studies have consistently shown that proper hydration upon waking helps maintain cognitive function as well, which is especially relevant if you want to stay mentally sharp as you age. The fix is straightforward. Drink a glass of water before anything else. Some folks prefer it warm with a squeeze of lemon, others like it chilled. Either way, aim for about 8 ounces. This simple practice jump-starts metabolism, alerts your organs that it's time to get active, and thins your blood to aid circulation. Take the example of Charles, who's 77. He used to rely on his morning coffee to wake him up, but he often felt groggy and sluggish even after his daily brew. Once he began drinking plain water before his coffee, he noticed a clearer head and a smoother energy ramp up. He also found his skin looked healthier, a small but pleasant bonus. So if you're typically the type to only grab a mug of coffee or tea first thing, try prioritizing water. It might feel odd at first, especially if you're used to that comforting smell of fresh coffee, but your body will thank you, and you might find you enjoy your coffee more once you're properly hydrated. Mistake number 3, drinking coffee on an empty stomach. Speaking of coffee, let's talk about a subtle but significant hazard: sipping that beloved morning cup before you've eaten anything. Many of us have cherished memories tied to our morning coffee ritual. Sitting on the porch, reading the news, enjoying the aroma. However, coffee is acidic and a stimulant, which can irritate the lining of an empty stomach. Combine that with your body's natural surge of cortisol, a stress hormone that peaks in the early morning, and you could be setting off an unhelpful chain reaction inside your body. Drinking coffee on an empty stomach can lead to higher cortisol levels throughout the day, promoting increased stress, anxiety, and even contributing to issues with blood sugar regulation. Then there's the acidity. Over time, exposing your stomach lining to high acidity first thing in the morning may pave the way for reflux or gastritis. Seniors often have more sensitive digestion, so that acid jolt might become a chronic irritation. It's not just about stomach issues, though. Some people feel a burst of jittery energy that quickly fizzles. Others notice heart palpitations or lightheadedness. For someone over 70, these sensations can be alarming. When your body is unprepared, no food to slow caffeine absorption, you're basically going from 0 to 60 with no warm-up lap. A friend of mine, Leonard, age 72, had been habitually drinking 2 cups of strong black coffee before breakfast. He brushed off heartburn and occasional shakiness as just part of getting older. After talking with his doctor, he decided to change his routine. Now he starts his day with a small bowl of oatmeal or a banana and some yogurt, waits about 15 minutes, and then enjoys his coffee. The heartburn subsided, and he said he feels more stable in the morning without the old caffeine crash. So you don't have to cut out coffee entirely, just postpone it until after a light breakfast. That layer of food will act as a buffer and help your system process caffeine more gradually. If you're used to coffee on an empty stomach and can't imagine changing, at least try nibbling on a few crackers or half a piece of toast beforehand. A small adjustment can prevent big problems down the line. Mistake number 4, ignoring morning stiffness and muscle tension. After you've gotten up and perhaps had a drink of water, do you notice tightness in your back, knees, or shoulders? Morning stiffness is extremely common in older adults. Joints can feel rigid, muscles might be a bit inflexible, and it's easy to think, well, that's just part of aging. But ignoring that stiffness and plunging straight into your day, walking around the house, bending down to pick up the newspaper, or twisting to reach for something can lead to sharp pain or even injuries like muscle strains. Why are your joints so stiff in the morning? While you sleep, there is less movement in your body, so synovial fluid, the fluid that lubricates your joints, isn't circulating as actively. Also, if you have any form of arthritis or past injuries, those areas tend to tighten further overnight. The mistake? Treating morning stiffness as an inevitability and powering through it instead of addressing it. A neighbor of mine, Glenn, 80 years old, used to say, "I've got to get out there and feed the dog right away." He'd hop out of bed, head outside, and by the time he came back in, his lower back was screaming in pain. Eventually, the pain got so bad he had trouble walking for a week and needed medical treatment. We can learn from Glenn's experience. It pays to spend a few minutes gently mobilizing stiff joints. Start small, still in bed, do slow ankle circles, bending your knees gently up and down. If you can, sit upright and stretch your arms overhead, taking a couple of deep breaths. Once standing, do some light shoulder rolls or neck stretches. These micro exercises take only a couple of minutes, but can dramatically reduce your risk of muscle strains, back pain, and sudden twinges. If you have more time or want to go further, you could even incorporate a short morning stretching routine or a few chair exercises. Think of it as an investment in your mobility and independence. The more flexible and warmed up your body is, the less likely you'll tweak a muscle doing everyday tasks like reaching for something on a shelf or picking up an object from the floor. Mistake number 5, underestimating the role of balance in lighting. Many seniors don't realize how much balance deteriorates subtly over the years, and how poor lighting can make morning tasks even riskier. You might have gotten out of bed safely, but what about those first steps across the bedroom or down the hallway? If your home has dim lighting in the early morning, or if you keep your curtains drawn, you could be navigating in semi-darkness while your eyes are still adjusting from sleep. Poor balance plus low light is a recipe for stumbles and falls, especially if there are rugs, cords, or small obstacles. A 72-year-old relative of mine, Bill, would sometimes wake up around 5 a.m. to use the bathroom. He never turned on the overhead light, thinking he'd disturb his wife. One morning he tripped on a slipper he didn't see, fell awkwardly, and fractured his wrist. That one moment led to surgery, months of recovery, and a long hiatus from golfing, which he dearly loved. To avoid this pitfall, ensure you have accessible lighting near your bed, like a nightlight or a lamp you can switch on before you start moving. Some folks opt for motion sensor lights that activate when they step on the floor. Additionally, clearing potential hazards from your path is critical. Remove throw rugs that slip, reposition any low furniture, and keep floors clutter-free. Balance itself is another factor. The older we get, the more we need to stay on top of balance exercises, like simple heel-to-toe walks or standing on one foot while holding onto a chair. Even 30 seconds a day of balance drills can make a meaningful difference. If you notice yourself wobbling more than you used to, don't brush it off. Take steps to improve it now before a fall happens. Lighting your path and consciously addressing balance might seem minor, but these small details can dramatically lower the chance of an accident. No one wants to wake up to a broken arm or hip, especially when it's so easily preventable with just a nightlight and a bit of care. Mistake number 6, rushing through morning medications or forgetting them. Many seniors rely on a set of prescribed medications to keep chronic conditions in check. Things like blood pressure pills, cholesterol meds, or diabetes medications. Yet a surprisingly common mistake is either skipping them, mixing them up, or taking them on an inconsistent schedule first thing in the morning. Skipping a dose or taking it at the wrong time can lead to unexpected fluctuations in blood pressure, blood sugar levels, or other critical bodily functions. If you're someone who tends to shuffle into the kitchen half awake, it's easy to pop a pill and not remember 5 minutes later whether you took it or not. The result? You might accidentally double dose or skip a dose entirely. To avoid this, establish a foolproof system. Some people use pill organizers that have labeled compartments for each day and time. Others set a phone alarm. Another trick is keeping a small notebook by your medications to mark each time you've taken them. If a particular medication requires you to eat beforehand to avoid stomach irritation, pair that pill with your new habit of eating a light breakfast or snack. Consider the case of my neighbor Morris, who's 74. He used to place his morning pills on the kitchen counter loose in their bottles. If he got distracted by something, like a phone call or a knock at the door, he'd come back and genuinely couldn't remember if he'd taken them. After one dangerous incident with blood pressure medication, he invested in a daily pill organizer that arranges his morning, noon, and evening doses. Now there's no more guesswork, and he feels more confident about his regimen. Don't let a small oversight unravel the benefits of your doctor's prescriptions. Medications only work well if they're taken correctly. Rushing or forgetting them in the morning can throw off your entire day, or worse, lead to a health emergency. Mistake number 7, putting off a proper breakfast. The final mistake isn't always recognized as a mistake because many older adults have smaller appetites in the morning or feel they can't stomach food right away. But skipping breakfast or just grabbing a sugary snack can contribute to unstable energy, mood swings, and difficulties regulating blood sugar. In our 70s, consistent nutrition becomes even more vital. Overnight, your body has already gone an extended period without nourishment. Failing to replenish in the morning means your body might start breaking down muscle tissue to get the energy it needs, especially if you're not consuming enough protein overall. This can accelerate muscle loss, a serious concern for seniors aiming to maintain mobility and independence. A balanced breakfast doesn't have to be heavy or complicated. Something like eggs with whole grain toast, oatmeal with berries, or yogurt with a handful of nuts can do the trick. If you truly can't eat much first thing in the morning, consider a nutritious smoothie. Blend some fruit, spinach, maybe a protein powder, and you have an easy-to-digest option that still gives your body what it needs. For instance, my friend Reginald, who's 76, used to skip breakfast entirely because he wasn't a morning eater. Over time, he noticed he had frequent late-morning fatigue and found himself munching on pastries or sweets around 10 a.m. to cope. Once he started having half a cup of oatmeal with a bit of fruit, his midday energy improved noticeably, and he cut down on the sugary snacks. By fueling your body appropriately in the morning, you're also giving it the resources to maintain muscle mass, keep blood sugar more stable, and reduce the risk of mid-morning crashes. It's a small shift that can have an outsized impact on your overall vitality and health. Now take a moment to think about how your own morning unfolds. Do you jump out of bed too quickly, risking dizziness? Do you skip that vital first glass of water and go straight for coffee? Do you drink your coffee on an empty stomach, setting yourself up for potential acid reflux or jitters? Are you ignoring stiffness that could lead to injury if you move the wrong way? Have you overlooked proper lighting or neglected to do quick balance checks? Do you hastily deal with medications or forget them altogether? And finally, are you rushing out the door without a bite to eat? Even if you're doing just 1 or 2 of these, each can add up over weeks, months, and years, placing stress on your body and increasing your vulnerability to falls, heart strain, or digestive woes. The encouraging news is that these habits are surprisingly simple to fix once you recognize them. Give your body the benefit of a slower, more mindful start. Allow your cardiovascular system to adjust to upright posture before you stride out of bed. Hydrate to support healthy circulation and cognition. Snack on something small to buffer the effects of caffeine. Gently stretch those stiff joints. Turn on a light or keep a nightlight handy to prevent trips and slips. Stay on track with medications by using clear systems. And fuel yourself with a modest yet balanced breakfast to maintain steady energy and protect your muscle mass. It might sound like a lot of changes, but in practice, these tweaks only add a few extra minutes to your morning. And once you're used to them, they can become as second nature as brushing your teeth. The payoff? Improved stability, fewer dizzy spells, a happier digestive system, clearer thinking, and overall better health. That means more days spent doing what you love, gardening, traveling, playing with grandchildren, or simply enjoying a good book, rather than sitting in a doctor's office or recovering from a preventable injury. Age naturally introduces new limitations, but so much of our well-being remains within our control. By adjusting your morning habits, you set yourself up for a healthier, safer day every day. Whether you're reading this on behalf of yourself or someone you care for, I encourage you to review these tips and put them into practice. Start with the easiest adjustment for you, maybe drinking water upon waking, and build from there. Over time, you'll develop a robust morning routine that protects you from hidden pitfalls. Take care of your mornings, and your mornings will take care of you. A conscious, gentle start can often mean the difference between a vibrant, active life and an unanticipated emergency that steals away your independence. Thank you for spending this time with me. Remember that knowledge is power, but only if you act on it. May you greet each new day feeling confident, energized, and ready to live life on your terms.